Hello and welcome back to State and Local Government and Politics. Module 4, Key Actors in the Policy Process. Part 2, Interest Groups. All post-industrial nations, including the United States, are experiencing explosive growth in the number, scope of concerns, and size of interest groups seeking to influence public policy. Community-based interest groups and other grassroots organizations concerned with a variety of public policy issues are variously labeled as public interest groups, citizens groups, or social movements. Public interest groups promote issues of general public concern, for example, environmental protection, human rights, and consumer rights, and citizens groups are organized groups advocating for specific public policy. These groups usually seek collective benefits that are often non-material, such as preserving endangered species or promoting civil rights, and are inclusive rather than exclusive in nature. That is, the benefits sought will accrue to everyone regardless of their contribution. Public interest groups have grown dramatically in number and in size in virtually all U.S. states and in urban and rural areas alike in recent decades, and they have become important players in the American state and local government public policy making process. Interest groups are highly diverse in terms of their size, the resources at their command, the scope of interest and activities in which they engage, their policy preferences, and their organizational form. They can be involved in a host of state and local government policy issues, including the areas of environmental protection, poverty reduction, public safety, child health and welfare, gender equity, and transportation system reform. International organizations, commonly referred to as international non-governmental organizations or INGOs, issue-focused think tanks, for example, the Heritage Foundation and Vera Institute, and activist organizations, for example, Habitat for Humanity, Doctors Without Borders, and the Union of Concerned Scientists, also often engage in policymaking in U.S. state and local governments on a selective basis. Interest groups differ quite widely in their human, financial, and organizational resources. In general, it can be said that community-based and grassroots groups tend to be understaffed and poorly financed in comparison with organizations that represent private sector interests, such as the petrochemical industry, the pharmaceutical industry, the telecommunications industry, the insurance industry, agricultural commodity groups, and so forth. There is increasing use of professional agents such as lobbyists and political consultants, professionals, often former elected public officials, who are adept at influencing policy processes and mobilizing support or posing opposition to public policy initiatives. Another source of influence and success in the policy process is the formation of coalitions of interests. Such alliances feature numerous smaller groups or businesses as members rather than individual citizens. These coalition-type groups can become a formidable political force due to their pooled financial resources and their freedom from dependence upon highly variable individual membership dues. Additionally, the role of powerful patrons, individuals and foundations who are located outside of the group, but who provide critical financial and social networking resources, allows some groups to reduce their reliance on individual membership dues. Central among strategies are the various forms of lobbying of elected officials and governmental agencies, the organizing of grassroots activists to mobilize public opinion, the building of coalitions with other like-minded groups, and the making of strategic financial contributions to supportive politicians. The specific strategy or combinations of strategies used by particular organizations is influenced by various factors, including the types and amounts of resources available to it, the perceived effectiveness of the strategies available, and the governmental structure in place. Large memberships give interest groups an advantage in letter writing, in the staging of public demonstrations, and in the training of volunteers to carry out grassroots activities. In contrast, those organizations possessing few members but commanding large budgets generally wish to focus on influencing the election of key decision makers or lobbying such decision makers after elections. Regardless of the size of their budgets and membership, they have strong reasons to convince people at the grassroots of the righteousness of their arguments, believing that changed public opinion will eventually lead to changed elite opinion. This long-term perspective is especially the case in the advocacy of sustainability, since issues of sustainability are becoming popular among citizens in post-industrial countries. See tables 4.1 to 4.3, Resources, Strategies, and Self-Perceived Effectiveness of Interest Groups and NGOs in the text. In the next section of Module 4, Key Actors and the Policy Process, Part 3, we'll discuss social movements and citizens.